arguably the most consequential VAR decision in Premier League history. Whilst Barca secure the title via El Clasico, this 16-year-old might have just made the best senior debut ever, and Marie Luisetta makes history in the Bundesliga. This is DMAC Daily. Drama at the London Stadium and a VAR call that could seal the fate of multiple clubs. For Arsenal, it puts them one step closer to the title, whilst the Hammers remain firmly in the relegation zone. No doubt today's watch would have been a complicated one for Spurs fans. The chaos was insane. But as for my opinion on the decision, and yeah, it was a foul on Raya. I mean, there was like 5 potential fouls in that one isolated play from both teams. Look, I'll be fully transparent. The hate watcher in me was devastated that it wasn't given in the end, purely because a draw here would have made both the title race and the ongoing relegation battle all the more compelling in the final 2 match days ahead. It's kind of fitting though, right, that a set piece scramble like this could end up being the definitive moment of the season, because 25-26 has been defined by whatever this is. Some like to call it an evolution of the game. Me personally, I lean towards a regression, one that hasn't been adequately officiated all season long. These battles in the 6-yard box are a total mess. There's fouls being committed wherever you look. Honestly, it doesn't even feel like football at times. But this is the reality of the Prem in 2026. It's why Brighton literally hired an MMA coach for corners and free kicks. Unironically, a genius appointment, by the way. But staying on this match and putting VAR drama aside, what a huge win this is for Arsenal. They are so close now, aren't they? And fair play to Arteta too, because at 0-0, he made a huge call today, subbing off the substitute Zubimendi in favor of a more attacking-minded midfielder in Odegaard. That was a gutsy call. And it would be the Norwegian in the end who made the difference, setting up Trossard, who fired home late on in the second half. A special moment for the Belgium, but the real hero today has to be David Raya, who came up with a potential title-winning save 5 minutes prior on Mateus Fernandes. In doing so, he ensured his 18th clean sheet of the season, securing a hat-trick of golden gloves in the Premier League. What an unbelievable keeper he has turned out to be. A lot of people are now saying the title is essentially dead, although I don't entirely agree with that take. City have a more complicated run-in for sure. That Bournemouth game in particular looks difficult, but I can still easily see them winning all 3 of these games. So the real question is then, can Arsenal avoid dropping points? You look at their 2 remaining fixtures and on paper, they are overwhelming favourites for both. Burnley at home, you'd assume they'll prevail comfortably. And Palace away, well, that should be a very difficult game. But seeing as though Palace have a Conference League final 3 days later, they're almost certainly going to rest their starters for that game. I still maintain this belief, however, that more drama awaits in the following 2 weeks. In the meantime, City did pick up all 3 points over the weekend. Doku curling home his 2nd stunner in the space of 3 days before late goals from Haaland and Marmoush secured the 3 points at the Etihad. Moving down the table, and old mate is not getting his haircut for at least another 4 months minimum as United played out a goalless draw away at Sunderland. Bruno Fernandes will be frustrated, no doubt. Despite picking up the Football Writers Association Player of the Year award a day prior, he was unable to equal the Premier League assist record. Just 2 games remaining. Can he make history? Meanwhile, Chelsea did the unthinkable. They didn't lose for once, picking up a point away at Anfield, which is indicative of how bang average the Reds are right now. Seriously, how are you going to let these bums take 2 points off you at home? Elsewhere, and Bournemouth boost their European hopes with a 1-0 win away at Fulham. Brazilian sensation Ryan coming up with the goods once again. I think this lad could be a bolter for the Seleção at this point. He has been cooking in the Prem since day one, really. Speaking of World Cup bolters, and Elliot Anderson came in clutch for Forest against his former club Newcastle with a late equalising goal, keeping their 8-game Premier League unbeaten run intact, but more importantly, securing their Premier League top flight status. Switching gears to La Liga, and it was a mixed day for Hansi Flick's Barcelona, having dealt with the untimely news that his father had passed away overnight. However, the German persevered in order to be present for their title-defining clash at home to Real Madrid, and what a day it turned out to be for the Blaugrana faithful. No Yamal, Rafinha wasn't in the starting 11 either, yet the home side dominated this contest from the offset. Marcus Rashford scored an absolute worldie free kick before Ferran Torres made it 2 less than 10 minutes later. Barcelona then comfortably saw out the rest of this match. Not gonna lie, this was the most tame El Clasico I've ever seen, and that's no shade on Barca. Madrid were just so feckless in their approach. They created very little, truth be told. We didn't even have added time in this match. I can't recall the last time something like that happened in El Clasico of all games. What a spectacular failure this season has been for Madrid. Unsurprisingly, Arbeloa has failed to restore order. In fact, the situation has only deteriorated in the months since he was appointed. At least there were no fights today. That's always a plus. Although perhaps there's more drama following Mbappe's interestingly timed Instagram story update. Now, it could be purely coincidental, but knowing the toxic dynamics from within, I wouldn't be surprised if that was absolutely intentional. One story update that was definitely not toxic, however, was the appreciation of the GOAT himself, Lionel Messi. He recognized the historical significance of the occasion, their 29th La Liga triumph. What better a setting to win the league than at home to your biggest rivals, with the prospect of 100 La Liga points still on the cards. Sure, their UCL failure stings, but successive league titles, 5 trophies won in just 2 years now. The Flick dynasty has been an overwhelming success. People forget where this club was prior to the German's appointment. This guy's been a godsend to Barca. Moving to Liga 1, and the title itself is more or less confirmed following PSG's latest 1-0 win at home to Stade Brest. Desiree Doué coming off the bench and bagging the match winner late on to go 6 points clear at the top. Granted, it's not mathematically impossible just yet, and Lens do actually face PSG in a few days' time. They could reduce the margin to just 3 points with 1 game to spare, but with a 15+ goal differential also separating the two, it's almost certainly not going to happen. That being said, it was still a phenomenal weekend for the underdog side Lens. At 0-0, they were chasing a goal, so they looked to their 16-year-old academy talent Mezien Mesloub Suarez to make an impact, and boy did he do exactly that. Within 14 seconds of stepping onto the pitch at senior level for the first time in his career, the youngster would take his first touch and then score superbly in front of the home fans in what proved to be the match-winning goal. As far as dream scenarios go for your first moments as a pro, that's as good as it gets. Scoring with your first kick of a football at pro level to secure UCL football for your boyhood club. Yeah, that is absolutely insane stuff. Switching gears to Germany, and the race for the top 4 will go down to the wire following this weekend's results. Leipzig's win automatically secured UCL qualification. Stuttgart smashed Leverkusen 3-1 to take 4th spot, whilst Hoffenheim crept into 5th following a narrow 1-0 victory over Werder Bremen. So keep an eye out on these 3 as we approach the final match day. The same thing can be said at the bottom end of the table. Heidenheim secured an unlikely 3-1 win away at Köln to leapfrog St. Pauli into 17th spot. Meanwhile, Wolfsburg remain in 16th place. So the final match day will no doubt be full of drama. Wolfsburg will travel away to St. Pauli, whilst Heidenheim take on Mainz at home. Could be some crazy scenes come this time next week. We also witnessed a historic moment in the Bundesliga this weekend. Marie-Louise Etzer, the interim manager of Union Berlin, picking up her first victory at the helm, becoming the first female to ever do so in a top 5 men's league. A historic achievement, all things considered. She had a tricky start, losing her opening 2 games in charge, but a draw last week and now a victory on the road shows that she absolutely has the ability to get results in the men's game. Beyond that, the players clearly respect her too, seen hugging her at full time. It's just a feel-good story that we ultimately need more of in the beautiful game. Heading on over to Italy, and like the Bundesliga, this top 4 race is still anyone's guess. Juventus picked up a much-needed 3 points away to Lecce, with Vlahovic's goal after just 10 seconds proving to be the difference. They overtake Milan in 3rd, who felt the wrath of the Milanistas, having been humbled at home 3-2 to Atalanta. Whistles ringing around the stadium at full time. Just a few weeks ago, they were supposedly in the title race. Now they're at risk of missing out on Champions League football altogether. It doesn't help that the teams below are within touching distance. Roma came up with a stunning victory away at Parma, scoring 2 goals in stoppage time to overturn a 2-1 deficit. Daniel Malen, the hero, once again with the 101st minute match-winning penalty. That's 15 goal involvements in 16 appearances since joining the club in January. He's the equal 2nd top scorer in the division already. This guy has simply been a revelation in Italian football. The same thing can be said about Cesc Fabregas of Como, his side narrowly beating Hellas Verona in a result that confirms that the Lombardy-based club will compete in Europe for the first time in their history next season. Wild to think that these guys were playing amateur football in the 4th tier of Italy just 7 years ago. Yet their story for the season isn't over. They're still firmly in the race for the Champions League too. And now for some quick news to close out today's ep, and Lionel Messi becomes the quickest player to reach 100 goal contributions in MLS history. His goal and 2 assists over the weekend took his overall tally to 59 goals, 41 assists in just 64 regular season matches, destroying the previous record of 95 matches by Toronto's Giovinco. Meanwhile, Messi's former teammate and dear friend Neymar also got on the score sheet this weekend. That's 9 goal involvements in 13 games to start 2026. No doubt Carlo Ancelotti will be keeping a close eye on the Seleção's all-time leading goal scorer with the World Cup narrowly approaching. In Scotland, Hearts have dropped points away to Motherwell, while Celtic win the Old Firm to reduce the margin at the top to just 1 point with 2 games to play. Maeda's bicycle kick might just be the goal of the season as well. Outrageous stuff all around. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.